How digital transformation is transforming business, both a manufacturing and a service example. Take 0. All right, so as you guys may remember, I do apologize for the videos in the car, but I am on sabbatical and I'm still trying to get the content in. We've been having this conversation internally. Actually, we get this question a lot. What does digital transformation mean for business? Like, what is the actual impact, right? Well, and the answer to that question is always, well, the impact is a function of the business itself, the organization, what type of manufacturer they are, right? For example, in life sciences, digital transformation, really is hyper-focused on 3 things in life sciences. Number one, organizations in the first 2 years of their digital transformation journey are focused on, number one, getting real-time insight into the state of their operations. Number one, acquiring the data that's there and getting real-time insight. Where do we stand according to plan? What are our major issues, et cetera, in real time, not latent, not coming from some paper report that's 2 shifts late, too late. Number one. Number two, electronic batch record. So, the electronic batch record, or the EBR, or the batch record, is the center of the universe in life sciences. In life sciences, for example, moving the creation of the electronic batch record, which is essentially the genealogy for any lot of a drug that's created. A, automating that. B, ensuring 100% fidelity of the data, and C, making that EBR accessible to any consumer who wants to have access to it while it's still growing. An EBR is a series of transactions, all put together. And then number 3, reducing the amount of time that goes into validation of new assets in the organization. So digital transformation, say for life sciences, means one thing. Those 3 things, the real-time state, like getting visibility into real-time state, that's common across lots of industry. But the EBR is unique to life sciences, and as is validation. Why? Because there are requirements in life sciences that extend beyond 21 CFR Part 11, but that require validation of data that is acquired from the manufacturing processes at each step of the transmission of that data. Okay, so digital transformation, what is it? How is it actually impacting business? Well, number one, it depends on what your business is. All right, so 2 things. I was actually listening to this back, and I 2 things occurred to me. So number one, how has digital revolutionized business? The obvious one is this. Bleeding edge manufacturers are focused on making products that get better after the customer buys them. Innovative companies, even legacy manufacturers that create consumables, that is like people in food and beverage, are still thinking of ways. Right now, they are thinking of ways that they can make products that get better after the clients buy them. So, for example, we have a couple of bakery clients, and one of the companies who makes bread, for example, is thinking about how they can track data, incentivize customers to track data about the baked goods that customers buy by using, an app on a phone. So if I pay $2 for a loaf of bread, the bread manufacturer may pay you as a customer 10 cents to scan that bread twice. Once when you got it home, and once when you finish the loaf of bread. Okay? So now that $2 loaf of bread becomes $1.80, assuming what I've done is in exchange, I have scanned that bread, scanned the barcode of the bread twice for the bread manufacturer. But here's the more obvious one. It's like when there's a problem with a car. When you hear the term recall, they use the term recall. I don't think in the past, most people I don't think ever understood what a recall. The worst type of recall is the type of recall that happened with the Ford Pinto, where literally the cars were recalled off the road and needed to be modified, and so that in a rear end collision, the gas tank didn't fucking get pierced and explode. That's the worst type of automotive recall. But the vast majority of recalls are either what's known as a tech note or an actual recall. Okay. Today, you know what a recall is for a car manufacturer? A recall is solving a problem with a software update. So when Elon Musk was telling the story about the guy who got caught driving down the 101 in California sleeping while his Tesla was driving, that problem was solved with a software update. It was pushed. In fact, the customer didn't. If the customer doesn't read the release notes, the customers don't even know what features are being added through software updates. I mean, that's the obvious, the big change. Okay, so I want to make sure that's included in this video. If you're a tier 1 automotive manufacturer, then what digital transformation is doing is, if we're to break it into 3, the real impact. Number 1, and we're talking about the first 2 years of the journey. Number 1, it's real-time insight into operations. Number 2, it is like the electronic batch record in life sciences is the center of the universe. The part genealogy, the serialization of the part that is being manufactured, say I'm a tier 1 automotive supplier, that's the center of the universe for a tier 1 automotive supplier. Take out EBR, enter in, digital genealogy, or what we refer to as digital traceability of each component that's generated, and including the genealogy of each subassembly that goes into that component. And then number 3 in tier 1 automotive is the biggest impact of digital transformation on tier 1 automotive has to do with just-in-time supply chain. That is requiring, if you look at it at the supply chain for a car that's created, that supply chain starts, dozens of suppliers up the supply chain, and months and months ago. It's a very long supply chain with lots of links. And for every link in the supply chain, there is a space for inefficiency, a space for a gap. There's a place for supply to run low or to run high, commodities to run low or to run high. There's lots of places for error in a very, very long supply chain. And digital transformation is giving each link in the supply chain visuals, especially towards the end of that, the first 2 years of the journey, is giving them more real-time visibility into the status of the supply chain itself. Okay, so those are the manufacturing impacts. I mean, other impacts of digital transformation, this is I'm driving my son's pickup truck here. This is a Hyundai Santa Cruz or Santa Fe or whatever it is. It's the pickup truck. This was bought in 2022, and my son has an app, a Hyundai app, that gives him full insight into his truck, just like I have it into my Tesla. Except this is a legacy auto manufacturer. This is a legacy manufacturer. But, from remote start to climate control to the status of the vehicle, what's the level of the fuel in the tank, to, what is the air in the tires around. Digital transformation makes all of that possible. Manufacturers had intelligence centers, auto manufacturers had intelligence centers on board these vehicles for a really long time. But taking this car and connecting it into the Internet of Things is a completely different outcome. I mean, from scheduling service over your phone to plotting your course using the Tesla app and the Tesla Supercharger network. You can plot your course before you ever get in the car. That's an impact of digital transformation on business. Okay, but let's go over to the service side. So let's talk about my company, for example. And actually, we're going to use 2 companies because this audience is familiar with 2 of my companies, Intellic Integration and 4.0 Solutions. How has digital transformation impacted our business? What does it mean for us? Well, if you look at intelligent integration, if you look at the traditional systems integrator, okay, the beginning of the value stream for a systems integrator is the business development process where you are looking for projects, okay? So you may have business development people who are, looking up manufacturers and calling them, or they've got relationships with vendors and they're waiting for a manufacturer to call the vendor, and the vendor refers the manufacturer to the systems integrator. The traditional way of running an integrator is the business development process is a very manual one. And because it's been so manual, a lot of systems integrators have focused on three things that have actually hurt manufacturers. Number one is the relationship with their vendor, where now their primary customer becomes their vendor. Why? Because the vendor is the one who's giving them, if they're towing the line and they're doing what the vendor tells them to, the vendor is the one who's giving them all their leads, or the vast majority of their leads. They are beholden to the vendor who is referring them to the customers more than they are to the individual customer. If you are one of 30 customers a vendor has referred to me, you are a lot less important to me than the vendor who referred all 30 of the customers. So number one, the manual nature of systems integration has made over time integrators focus on vendor relationships. Number two, it has made integrators focus on creating a product that they can sell over and over and over again to every customer for the same price, okay? Rather than passing on the savings to each subsequent customer. Let's say they develop a SCADA system, and they commoditize that and they sell it for, it costs them $100,000 to develop. So they sold it to the first customer for 200 grand, and they sell it to every customer after that for 200 grand. Well, that's bad for the industry. The truth is that the savings should be getting passed on to the consumer, but it's not, okay? So number two, the manual nature of systems integration, the manual nature of the value stream over the course of time has driven manufacturers or integrators to focus on vendor relationships to lower the barrier of entry to getting their customers. Number two, incentivize them to create products that they sell over and over again to many different customers, not because they're incentivized to sell that one product over and over again to many different customers. They are disincentivized to focusing on the specific problem the customer has. So they have a round peg, the customer's problem is a square hole, and they're going to try and fit their round peg product into the customer's square hole. That's bad for the industry, right? And then number three, the company strategy is to go deep and stay long. So because acquiring customers in systems integration had traditionally been so difficult, every integrator once they got a customer, they wanted to stay with that client forever. They wanted to become their engineering arm. So what they would do is they would be incentivized to do things that made the client beholden to them. And everyone's seen this shit. Locking down PLCs, not putting comments in their PLC code, putting scareware in their HMIs, right up to the point where, integrators have remotely accessed a customer's infrastructure, created a downtime event so the customer would have to call them. I mean, I've seen this multiple times in my career. So the old way, the pre-digital approach to systems integration was really not in the client's best interest, which is why I've been bitching about this shit for 10 fucking years, since I've been an integrator. But if you look at how we operate as a systems integrator, what we've tried to do is we have tried to take out those incentives to do what's against the best interest of the client. Number one, we don't enter into vendor relationships. Digital makes that possible because we create our relationships with our clients based on our reputation, and we don't need the vendor to get us the lead. Okay, so number one, through digital media, we use digital media to access the full potential market, okay, and the full addressable market we have access through digital media. And what we're able to do is essentially like a moth to a flame. We're able to through a digital infrastructure, digital ecosystem, we are able to basically attract the people who need our help. Okay. Number two, we're able to do market analysis to, again, through this digital infrastructure, we're able to determine which manufacturers out there need our help, not need some help, but they need our help specifically. We're able to determine that through Google Analytics is one way we do it. There are many ways that we do this digitally. I don't want to give that part away. I mean, Jesus Christ, my business development team would kill me. But we are able to determine which manufacturers need our help so that we can focus on our efforts, our business development efforts, and our relationship building efforts with the clients on the people who we know need our help. And we do that digitally. That's not hammering the phones. Our business development team is not on, making 100 calls every single week or anything like that. And then number three, what's changed about the way we approach is we don't go deep and stay long because there are so many people who need our help out there. We are not incentivized to go deep and stay long with any individual customer. Because we are a digital organization, that is, we can see 5, 6, 7 years out into the future in terms of market demand, where that demand is going to be, and where we're going to go next to help people. We are not focused on squeezing the most out of every stone that you could possibly squeeze. So from a services side, digital transformation has played a huge role in how it's impacted business. But here's the big one that no one really thinks about. Because we use common infrastructure, we teach unified namespace, we teach strategies for digital transformation. We use these strategies and been using them for, the last 8 years. I've been using them since 2005, but since 2013 as an integrator, I've been using these strategies. Every one of the clients that we work with, we could connect together. And that has happened. Just through the luck of draw, we found out 3 clients who were links in the same supply chain, and we were able to link them together through one common digital infrastructure in 15 minutes. Share this process data with this upstream link, share this inventory data with this downstream link, and share this composition data in this ink pigment to this downstream link. And that took 15 minutes because of common infrastructure. So the truth is that digital transformation has transformed business across the board in ways most of us struggle to appreciate. This is a question that comes up all the time. What's the actual impact of digital transformation? Let me leave with this last one. Digital transformation is the reason Tesla exists. Tesla started as a wholly digital company where digital data would be data would be their primary commodity. And we did this, I posted this thing on LinkedIn about Jim Farley talking about why Tesla has such a huge advantage over them. The impact that digital transformation has had on business, because Tesla is a wholly digital company, and because what they've done is they've been able to essentially kill the unkillable market, right? No one believed that you could kill Ford, General Motors, Toyota. No one believed you could do that. And Tesla has slayed them. The only way that they survive now is through partnership with Tesla. That's how far Tesla's ahead. Okay, it's only going to get worse for the legacy manufacturers. But Jim Farley made a point to say what he did in this video, and I think we'll link the video down below in the description, is Jim Farley explained why Ford is at a strategic disadvantage because they haven't digitally transformed. The converse of what he was saying about Tesla was that because we are not a digitally transformed organization, we are unable to do X, Y, and Z. And this is when he's talking about how, he's got hundreds of vendors who each own their own software. They've all built it proprietarily. There is no digital strategy. There are no minimum technical requirements to make it so that we can connect all that together, right? It's all deterministic, right? He uses the Bosch example, how Bosch owns the software in one of the electronic control modules on one of their vehicles. Jim Farley actually makes the case for how digital transformation actually affects business, how it's actually impacted business, but he actually makes the case by explaining how it is Ford hasn't benefited from it. All right. So with that, like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know if you want me to cover this subject a little deeper, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey, gang. So quick reminder, we're doing the Tour to 4.0 at the end of August. So it's a 3-week trip at the end of August. We're going to be visiting, I don't know how many cities now, 8, 9 cities, a bunch of different vendor partners, and we're going to be documenting the entire trip. And it's called Tour to 4.0, and here is the trailer.